Hi, and welcome to the GTA Nerdcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
James.
Wonderful, James. So, today on the Dungeon Hour, we're going to be covering a topic which the three of us, I think, know pretty well. It's about DM nervousness.
Yeah.
So, just generally feeling nervous as a DM. I think that comes up a lot when you're just starting out, but I think it even happens now.
Yeah,
even
it persists.
Yeah.
It probably never goes away.
Probably.
It just aches in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I think it's because you put so much time into like creating this story and this world and stuff, and then it can go one of two ways, really.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I think the biggest one that probably almost everyone has is, will they like it?
Yeah.
Like, just that constant question gnawing in the back of your mind, even when you're writing or whatever. Just, will they like it? Like, during the middle of the map.
Mhm.
I know there's times like I've stopped writing maps because I'm just like, I'm reading the map and then I think back and I'm like, we've done a map that's like 90% identical to this, and it wasn't that long ago. I don't think anyone would like it, and I just like, I kind of mentally freak out and I just scrap the whole thing.
Mhm. I think in a lot of mine I grapple with that as well, but just kind of I always go by the motto, feel the fear and do it anyway. So I just kind of sometimes I'm able to push past that, but definitely going into a map, I think what's tougher for me is when I think a map is the bee's knees, and then people are just very neutral,
Yeah.
kind of going into it.
I think when you're in the middle of DMing and like feeling the vibe of the room, and it's not like as ecstatic as what you would hope it to be, you lose a lot of motivation.
Yeah. And then I feel like to protect yourself, you almost have to feel like you don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give off the vibe that this is just a whatever map, whereas like 2 hours before you were like pumped for people to play it. Have you ever had that, James?
I mean, in the beginning,
Yeah.
it was kind of like, shit, I gotta do stuff way different than these people. And then eventually it turned into, I'd say 5 maps in, I stopped giving a literal shit. I was just like, and they're gonna fight bandits. And then it got to a point where I just got references from so many obscure shit that people don't know what was happening. It's like, I had some creatures where it's like, where the hell did you think of that? I'm like, dude, I just thought that in the back of my head. It's just like, I stopped giving a shit about if people would like it or not. And it had to put me at ease more.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a map.
Yeah.
People are here to do a map. They'll be happy anyways that they did a map. That's what I put into writing now.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I think not everyone can go 100%. Obviously, people can't go 100%. Like, I like to think that I haven't had bad ones, but I know for a fact that I've had bad ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We all have.
Yeah.
I think it also really just depends on your mood that day. Like, some days you might write a map and like, all right, like I'm good. This is a good map and I'm ready to go. And then when everyone gets together to play, you're just like, nah, I can't do it today. I feel like shit. I probably can't handle criticism, and just, I don't know, fuck today.
I think for me, one of the things that really brings out anxiety as a DM is big moments. Like big moments in a map, especially like if we're running a campaign. I know, like in my Dragon Age campaign, I know if a big moment's coming up, and like I obviously want everyone to be captivated in that moment. And just kind of do it and hope that it turns out for the best. But that makes me really nervous, like big moments. Especially when I look over and Neil's on his cell phone. God damn it.
That's Neil every map.
Yeah, it's true.
That is him every bloody map.
I think when people aren't paying attention at all during any point of your map, it makes you just demotivated.
Yeah.
But I 100% back you on big moments, because like even in just like things that aren't campaigns, you can plan something out, and it's like, okay, this is gonna be the critical turning point of this map. Like, maybe for example, someone they've been guiding through a dungeon turns out to be like a warlock that tricked them into guiding them through a dungeon, and then I think half the time everyone's just like, oh, okay. And it's like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
What do you mean just, oh, okay?
Yeah. Or like, I know I'm running a Dragon Age campaign based on Inquisition, and a character that I introduced in like the first or second map, everyone just like dislikes him, and I was just like, oh, well, he was supposed to be really critical to the story, but I guess everyone dislikes him, and I guess you got to kind of take that and then roll with it and shape your story based on that as well.
I mean, I'm one of the characters that disliked that character.
Yeah.
I think it was only me and you who hated him.
Yeah, it was just our characters, and I kind of felt bad for Matt, because I understood, like, he's, like, an important character, but my character was like, nah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, a pirate just saw him some creepy, cringy elf with no feelings, and I'm like, yeah, I don't trust him. Fuck him.
But that's just the kind of shit you gotta roll with.
Yeah, it's hard on the spot too when you're trying to get buy-in with something, and it's a little bit harder than you anticipated. I think that for me, especially when starting a campaign, getting buy-in is one of the most frightening things. And I know that of the players, like, we're all friends, so most of us are going to automatically have buy-in because we know what the campaign is going into it. But say you're playing with strangers, or say someone in the group just isn't really feeling it and they don't buy into the map, it just drags everything down. And as we talked about in the Humble Beginnings video, that was the death of like 2 campaigns.
Yeah.
Just one person specifically saying, oh, I'm not motivated, I'm not interested.
It can definitely, like, break you, like, right when you're starting up. Like, okay, well, like, I'm trying to get you interested. Why aren't you interested?
Yeah.
Like, this is interesting. Why isn't it interesting? And then you just start thinking, like, if this person's not enjoying it, is no one else enjoying it?
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Can I do this without them? Should I do it without them? And, like, all these anxieties, they build up, and it's something you just kind of have to just let go, honestly. Just, like, lots and lots of playing, you learn to just be like, alright, well, if you don't enjoy it, don't enjoy it. Sit there and don't enjoy it.
Yeah, or you don't have to play or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, I think just letting go of like maps that you thought were good and maybe weren't as good as you thought. Like, people come out of it just kind of neutral and just be like, oh, all right, there's always next time, I guess. It's just such a shot to the ego because it's something that you created most of the time.
I think another thing that could be hard to, like, cope with is if you have a string of maps you got going on and you really want to see them, like, go through, but everyone else isn't as, like, interested. Like, I know I did one that I based off of, like, an Underking. I don't feel like everyone was, like, as into it as I hoped they would have been, but I kind of, like, started it off, and it was kind of important, so I continued it, and I was just getting almost nowhere with it. So I pushed it to an ending sooner, rather than dragging it out to the point that I wanted to.
And that's probably, like, communication with players is really critical as well, because I think sometimes just like being upfront and honest would save people so much trouble. Like, I know our one friend Neil, he has talked about doing certain campaigns, and before he like starts the writing process, we're like, nah, we're not really into that. So it saves him so much of that stress of writing something and then people not being into it, right?
Yeah, I think he was trying to start up a Fallout one, and, like, just all of us were kind of just like, I'd play it, but meh.
Yeah.
And so he was like, alright, let's not.
Yeah.
I think that saved him a lot of time. I think he's probably, like, a little crushed a little bit just because he wanted to do it, but in the long run, it would have crushed him more if we were all just, like, fucking up his campaign that he really wanted to play because none of us wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it is definitely better.
But yeah, just communicating with people as well too. Like I know, um, or even after maps, like saying like, "Oh, did you guys like that direction, or was that an interesting map, or whatever." We have a system that we use where DMs get like an experience point for one of their characters after one of like if you DM a map and people like it, you get an experience point for one of your characters. I feel like that's turned into if you DM, you get an experience point because people are a little bit like anxious to say, "Oh no, I wasn't too into that" to a DM.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like I can think of very few maps that I just outright hated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that is in people's heads a lot is that, oh, people are going to hate this map, when in reality I think at worst like 99% of the time it's just okay.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I know countless times I've thought, like, oh, the people are not enjoying this, and then, like, when I'm on the other side, like, being a player, it's like, no, I enjoyed that map. Like, even if, like, the DM says, like, oh, I know that wasn't very good, it's like, what are you talking about? I actually enjoyed that. Like, I was just playing an emotionally dead character. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think one thing for me that brings about a lot of anxiety is if I notice that a fight has gone on a little too long.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially if, like, the main point of your map is, like, a boss fight, but then this boss fight's taking, like, 40 minutes, and it's just like, I'm so sorry, but, like, I can't just, like, all of a sudden nerf my boss now.
Yeah.
Or, like, sometimes you gotta think of a way to be like, alright, he's starting to get weaker, so this is getting easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
It really just depends.
I mean, even looking at retrospect, because I've been watching, to try and get my fill of D&D that has been lacking lately. I've just been watching, like, D&D shows, like,
Yeah.
on Twitch and all that. Not even on Twitch. Sometimes, and it's like, I've seen encounters where the encounter itself, like, the full-on battle takes 4 hours.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
So you guys are saying, like, 40 minutes is long, and I'm sitting here going, I'd watch a whole 4-hour encounter.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the encounter, though, because before the Dragon Age campaign that I'm doing now, did another Dragon Age campaign that was based off of the first game. And the final encounter with the Archdemon, I would say, took about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I feel like because it was like the cumulative encounter, there was a lot of dynamics to it that for me kept it interesting as a DM. But when fights drag on too long, when you're fighting bandits on the side of the road, that's when I'm just like, oh no. And sometimes as a DM, it's not even your fault. Like you're like, okay,
they're just rolling terribly, but not terribly enough to die. Just terribly enough to not get anywhere with the fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the worst situation.
It's like, okay, you're not, like, doing so bad that you need to run away, but you're not doing good that you're beating the bandits. You're just fighting.
You're at a stalemate.
Yeah.
And you are going nowhere.
I remember an encounter where there was like this ice valley and there was ice elementals up on the sides, and you were trying to trudge through the snow to get out of this valley, James.
I remember that.
And this ice elemental kept hitting you for like minimal damage,
But knocking you back. Or you dodge, but try to like get up this like little like valley thing and then like slide back down. No. You didn't get lost, but you were basically, or I think you were trying to shoot it. I think this was on a character with a crossbow. I think you were playing Oswald.
Oswald.
I know I was playing Theroden because I was a dwarf, and I was basically just like nose height trudging through the snow with my shield above my head, so I was 100% fine.
But James's character kept trying to shoot this thing to kill it, but kept missing, and then like couldn't avoid its attacks either. So it was just like, it felt like an hour of James just shooting back and forth with this thing, right? Ugh.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Like you just said, it's horrible. So it's like that kind of encounter is when a DM's like, oh god.
Like a minor encounter taking like an hour. Yeah, that's like, stop.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to not like be biased in that situation because it's like no one's enjoying this because everyone's waiting.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I can't just like God hand nerf this enemy.
Yeah.
Because then it's just a cop out. And that's just no fun.
for sure. It's a really weird, sticky situation, I guess, and especially in an encounter like that, when I wanted to make it challenging, but not too challenging. Like these enemies, once you got to them, you could just smack them down and they die. But getting to them was the challenge. So maybe not like the smartest encounter on my part because it felt like getting to them took way too friggin' long. But
It all just depends on your roles, and like you can't help it sometimes.
yeah, that's very true.
I like a good challenge when it's like that because it makes you think on top, like on your feet as a player, and like as a DM, you're like, yeah, this is stumping them. I'm good. I'm content with this. I put a challenge in.
Well, I mean, you can't really think on your feet as a player when you're rolling fives. Where's the thinking in that? It's like, I rolled a 2. Oh boy, my strategy better work next time. Natural 1. Yes!
Yeah. Yeah, that's awful when you think of this wonderful elaborate plan. You want to see it through and then your die is just like, nope.
Nah, here's the 2.
Yeah.
It's like, you fucking with me right now? Are you fucking with me?
Yeah. What about you? Do any things make you anxious as a DM?
Anxious?
Anxious.
It's
Scaled.
like, I don't know, because my history as a DM, I can say with confidence that from the beginning I've been the toughest of all the DMs.
Like the harshest.
Yeah, like the harshest.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
When it comes to punishment.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, you rolled shit? Oh, you're gonna feel that. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let me just go into my thing of failures right now. This happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's like, I've never, with enemies anyways, I've never felt like too anxious. Because if you guys roll bad, that's you guys rolling bad. That's not on me. That's on you guys.
Yeah.
What about with story elements?
Oh, story elements? The only thing that I can say that kind of like makes me anxious is, say I've written out something. Actually, this is a perfect example of the thing that I have written out that has been written out for about like since summer of 2016, the giant war that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That no one else that you two are high enough level to do, but the other two aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, oh, we want to wait so we're high enough level.
Oh boy.
And oh boy. And now it's just getting to the point where it's like, how much of that do I remember? See, it's the remembering part of the story elements that get me anxious. It's like, wait, shit, this happened last time, right? No, this happened last time. Fuck. Then I start remembering events. It's like, James, that happened in the first map. It's like, wait, what? Right, because this, then this, then this. No, James, that happened right after the thing you just said. What are you talking about? Stop reading my head. You know?
Talking in future context. Yeah. Oh boy.
It's when I start forgetting the story.
Yeah.
Over like maps that overarch each other.
Yeah, I know that doing a campaign that it's hard to get like one map every month.
Yeah.
Hey, we were good for a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were.
And now we're all busy again. with our
No,
adult
Neil's
lives.
busy again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's not his fault though.
Yeah. I think on terms of you saying you're not anxious with your enemies, I would say I'm generally not anxious with my enemies unless it's like a newbie encounter that's taking forever, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
But one thing for me is I know sometimes when someone messes up, they're going to get hit hard. And there's always a small part of you that's like, oh no, they're going to get really upset at me for hitting them hard. You probably don't even have that.
Oh, that disappeared a long time.
You have no
ago.
empathy.
After the first death, it was just like, well, that's another one on the list.
Yeah.
That's another one.
See, like, I know someone's going to get upset when I hit them hard, and that's completely fine, because that's a character that they've put a lot of time into. But sometimes the circumstance just calls for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I get the most nervous for with enemies is when I introduce a strong enemy that normally people wouldn't think is strong. So when they're fighting it, they're getting upset because it's taking for like a longer time than they would expect. Like, for example, a fucking goblin. I've put in hard goblins and everyone's like, why? It's like, well, why not? They can be strong too. Just because you're strong doesn't mean you're stronger. Maybe it's a really good goblin warlock, and everyone's just getting super pissed because they can't kill a fucking goblin.
Maybe it's the hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
It throws exploding pumpkins.
Yeah.
It's just, it's stuff like that. Because, like, if I'm throwing, like, a fucking golem at them, everyone's like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm expecting to take, like, a butt ton of damage when I get punched. But, like, when there's a goblin, and they get hit with, like, a magic blast, and they're just taking, like, exponential damage, they're like, what the fuck? Or when this goblin is as strong as them, they're like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know one encounter that I did. It was on a boat. And Neil's character was, like, down, like, under.
Oh, God.
And he poked his head up to look out on the deck of the ship that they were trying to take over. And I said, okay, give me, like, a stealth check. And he rolled a 1.
Yeah.
So the 2 archers that were standing right there saw him and turned and loosed arrows at him. Now, only his head was showing. I said, okay, this is going to be pretty easy to dodge. He rolled another 1 to get out of the way of these arrows. So I'm like, wait a second. Okay, only your head is showing, and you're getting hit by these arrows. Neil, roll me a luck. Roll on the D100 to see how lucky you are. And he rolled a 4 out of 100. And that was such just like a random mundane encounter on this ship with these like bandits. But just the rolls, the string of rolls that he had, he took an arrow directly to the throat and died. And I felt so bad after. And I knew he was going to be upset. But it's just like anticipating, or like I think one of your characters got like an arm chopped off in a fight because you rolled low like 3 times or something like that.
Yep, that was in one of our wraiths.
Yeah.
And then you died. You died.
Yeah, you killed Alibaba.
Yeah.
Oh, was that me?
Yeah, that was you.
You were just rolling so bad. We were fighting a giant.
Oh, yeah.
And like you got cleaved in the arm,
Yep.
and then like we distracted it, and then it went back to you, and you rolled like another 1 again, and it like hit you in in the leg, and then like we distracted it again, and then went back to you, and you rolled a 1 again, and it's like you can't move. You die this time.
Yeah.
Like there's no way.
Yup.
See, those moments always make me anxious because I know that someone's put a lot of time and effort into that character and then just killing them. But obviously it's got to happen or else the game has no purpose.
Yep.
Well, depends on who you ask, but if you ask me, death has to happen in D&D.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I do it so much.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it. Stop rolling double zeros on travel checks, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I think the overlying message of this is just roll with it. Honestly, just keep your head up because most of the time players will enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I know I've even enjoyed aspects of maps like, and I'm gonna sound hypocritical here, but when I get smoked for like upwards of like 25, 30 damage, sometimes it really adds to the map for me because it adds a aspect of desperation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas like it adds a bit of fear, like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna make it out of this encounter. Okay, I'm gonna really need to roll my die better.
Yeah.
Or strategize better, something.
Yeah. It's like the encounters where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna like swing at this thing, and then it hits you and you get knocked back for 20 damage. And you're like, oh, I guess I'm not gonna do that again. Let's think of something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think another thing that really makes me anxious as a DM is just the feeling that I need to fill the whole map with things. So we have like a travel check system. And so say you're traveling from A to B, you roll the D100 and depending on the roll, you'll get an encounter. I feel like those sometimes can lend themselves to those like stupid fights that just go on forever. And I don't like using them as much because I know like it doesn't make sense to the story sometimes, and I hate that. I hate filling my maps with just random stuff to fill the time.
I can 100% agree with stuff like that because I remember the one time that you guys rolled a travel check when you were going into this enchanted forest to try and solve the problem for this village, and you straight up like took the travel check as the objective.
Yeah.
And you did like you followed like you ran into I think it was like a hermit druid.
Yeah.
And you like hunted this guy down and like burnt his house down or something and like
I remember that map.
yeah, and you were like
map.
assaulting him and bringing him back, and you brought him back to the village, and just like the guys were like, "This isn't the source," and you're all like, "Oh, fuck it."
Yeah. We spent like 2
hours doing a travel check.
Yeah. And see, that's a big fear that I have as a DM is just like putting in content that's like not fully relevant, because sometimes encounters like that was fun for us, but I always worry that like, oh, you're walking and you come across the bandits. Like I try and avoid that stuff, but sometimes I like in the spot my brain just cannot think of anything better.
Honestly, personally as a player, I enjoy encountering bandits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind that it's a go-to thing. I think for a lot of characters, bandits, like, they're so common that it's like, okay, this is something I would have to, like, fight and deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Bandits, wolves, like, what have you. Like, it's something you do encounter.
Wolves are my thing. Wolves I cannot stand as a player. And that's not only just because they get like leaned on heavily in D&D, but they're such like an archetype of evil throughout like storytelling. Like the big bad wolf. It's a wolf that's a dick, right? Or like so many stories just have a wolf that's like a bad guy, when in reality they'd probably just see you and fuck off. Right? Like they just see you and run away. That's just me though. I like wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that people really find makes them anxious as DMs?
No, I think we've covered it all.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the people complaining, that's about it. That just comes with everything.
Yeah. And how do you take that when that happens?
Oh, how do I take it when it happens? It's interesting, because half of me goes, oh shit, they're calling me out on something. And then the other half of me realizes, wait, they're just complaining because they're about to fucking die. I'm gonna stop taking them seriously now. And I take it with a grain of salt. And I go, okay, what do you want to do about it? Well, I don't think this should happen. What was your roll? It was the 12. Check my thing stats. Okay. I will reduce the damage by a quarter for you.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Instead of at unconscious, you're at 1 health. You happy now?
Yeah.
Good. Because you're about to get hit again. Roll a dodge.
Because now you're not unconscious.
Yeah.
It's going after you.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
Oh, look, you're at neg 10 health. You're dead.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes, like, criticism can be a good thing.
Criticism can be. It's just, it's when the bullshit comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah. People want to defend their characters. Like, as I've said multiple times, people put a lot of work into them. And sometimes you'll just make stuff up. Like, oh, that's not fair. When, like, really deep down you know, like, ah, crap, I didn't play well enough or I didn't roll well enough.
I think, what I know I did this with Theroden, one of my dwarf character, when he died, is, like, he got impaled through the chest.
I remember that.
And I was just, like, impaled.
Yeah.
Through the chest.
Yeah.
Like,
We're doing a live reenactment right now.
Through the plate, through, like, this other stuff, all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I basically, like, I want to reinsure, like, they're taking everything into account, and if that's what happens, I mean, fuck, that's what happened.
Oh, believe me, from a creature who could pull out pure rock out of the ground, who broke a giant's leg like it was nothing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like I said, I was just like, I was in disbelief, more or less, just like, shit.
And that goes back to having an enemy that's a lot stronger than the players think.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah.
Good times.
I think overall as a DM, you just need to be able to take the criticism sometimes and realize that if you just get angry at it, your games aren't going to get better. Your players aren't going to enjoy things more if you just get angry at them for trying to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know, like, that's the natural response after you've created something that you want to share with people is just to get very defensive about it. But just taking the time to stop and reflect and say, like, what are they saying to me and why are they saying it? Are they trying to be rude? Because if someone's trying to be rude, then, oh, of course you can probably be pissed off. But
Yeah.
for the most part, actually, like, never people are trying to do that. Like, all the time, people are just trying to make the game stronger for everyone there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, happy D&Ding.
Yeah.
Is that our catchphrase now?
I don't know.
Please no.
No, that's really lame.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
so this has just been us having a rant on some things that make us anxious as a DM. Hopefully you take something away from this and can feel a little bit more confident about your games, because I think that's something that I've learned through this talk, is that they're not as bad as I think sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all right.
Yeah.
They're all right.
All right. Thank you for listening, and check out our other videos, please.
Bye
Please
bye.
do. Bye. Give us money.